Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. We have a lot of comments in the chat already. That's nice. Hi, Dizzy. Hi, Donnie. Hi, Fuzzy Puff. Hey, Steve. Tracy K. Viv. Jen. Miss Dina. Hello, Spring. Hi, babe. Mom's here. All right. It's good to see everybody that is in. Missy, Elizabeth L. Hey, Stevie. Hi, Juju. I think I may have gotten everybody. If I missed you, I didn't mean to. Hi, Sarah. Hey, Amber. Hey, Mimsy. Hey, Polly. Shay. Debbie. T-Pain. Elizabeth. Joni. Spitfire. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Artie's here. You're on the right channel. Amazing. Okay, lots of you. Tennis Girl is here. Hey. Cece's here. Hi. So, just a real quick introduction in case you are new here. I'm Shannon, and you may have landed here because you follow my husband Jay on the Shaming of Jay YouTube channel. We had two YouTube channels, and this now is my channel. It's called Mindful Crime Couture because I like to talk about things of fashion and psychology. I am a licensed mental health professional. I'm a registered drama therapist, and I love to basically dissect human behavior and think about why we think the way we do. And so I'm definitely interested in criminal minds. And that is why I, am interested in basically trying to figure out why people make the choices that they do. So, tonight, I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for everybody who's subbed. Thank you to everybody who's joined the channel and who's joined my husband's channel lately. It has been wonderful. We are enjoying having so many new people come on with us. We're just having a great time, and we love to have a great time with you in chat. So thank you for doing that. And if you will turn on notifications here, that way you'll be able to see whenever I go live as well. That would be great. Just hit the bell. And if you can like the stream while you're here, that would be awesome because that would get it into the algorithm and all the things that we say to get it further out to other people who might enjoy it. All right, so tonight if you saw my thumbnail, it was inspired from Mean Girls. Had some Mean Girls and The Cool Mom. If you haven't seen that movie, it's hysterical. It's wonderful. But tonight we're talking about Insidious Entitlement. And I just have really noticed lately that there has been this air of entitlement with some of the defendants of the cases that we've been watching. Of course, this is a tale as old as time. This is not anything new. There are cases that span decades that have this same type of thing. But I was just interested in these. There's only 3 cases. There's 4 women on the little Venn diagram that I made. I call this my Venn bitch-agram. But there are only 3 cases. So I'm going to go through a little quick summary about each of the cases really quickly. And then we will go and actually fill in the Venn diagram. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for being here. So we will fill out the Venn diagram as well. So, if you have been watching us lately, you definitely have been along with us for the ride for the Adelson drama. Charlie Adelson was just convicted and was just sentenced to life without parole for the murder of Dan Markel. And this was a hit on a man who was a professor. He was married to Wendy Adelson, who is there in the yellow circle. And that's his ex-wife. And then his ex-mother-in-law was Donna Adelson. They are, his mother was just indicted as a conspirator in his death. Wendy is an unindicted co-conspirator, they believe. And so that case is basically all about how this family wanted to be able to have the daughter, Wendy, move with the children 4 hours from where they were currently residing at the time of the divorce. And Dan, as the dad, was like, no, you cannot do that. And honestly, he didn't even have to put much of a fight up because as soon as she brought it into the judge was like, I'm not hearing this motion. We're not doing a hearing for this because Dan had already showed the court in previous motions and in their parenting agreement that he was a good parent. He was an involved parent, and that he was not going to need to do anything besides say that he didn't want the move. He contested the relocation. So he was unfortunately murdered in his driveway by 2 hitmen who were coordinated by the ex-girlfriend of Charlie Adelson, who is Wendy's brother, Donna's son. So it was just a whole family affair. They ruined so many lives. So if you've been with us lately, you have been in the weeds with us about this. Jay has really been delving into Wendy right now. We spent some time delving into Donna, and then Donna was indicted. So we're hoping that if we put out the time on Wendy, maybe we'll get an indictment for her as well. So the other case to the left, Courtney Clenney, we did this case. Jay and I talked about this on Friday Night Psych quite a while ago. This was a murder that happened in April 3rd of 2022. So it's actually a pretty current case. Courtney was an OnlyFans model, and she stabbed her boyfriend, Christian Abumseli, and he died. They were both young, gorgeous individuals, and she has been in jail. Although that happened in April, she was not indicted until December. She claimed that it was self-defense, and so it took quite a while for them to indict her, and she is now in jail, and we are awaiting a 2024 trial for her. The bottom case is probably she's the newest indictment. I think, well, no, Donna's the newest indictment, but Shannon Gardner was recently indicted as well. And now this case, you guys, okay, so I've been working on this case I've been researching this case all day today, and I am just blown away by how striking the similarities are between this and the Adelson Markel case. It is so disturbing. I became a patron at Hidden True Crime, which I talked about them earlier. I talked about them with the Gabby Petito thing. I started watching their videos and I really like their content. I will link them below. But I became a patron because they got all 737 pages of the divorce file between Shannon Gardner and Jared Bridigan, who was the victim in that case. And I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Maybe Bridigan or Bridigan. I'm not sure. So yeah, and Gretchen, you are so right. One thing that I left off of this Venn diagram, but would be right here in the center, is that all of these cases happened in Florida. That really wasn't something that I was looking into, but I just realized it right before going on. So what was I saying? Shanna. All right, so the 737-page divorce file, does that sound familiar to you all? I mean, I think we heard that Wendy and Dan's divorce file was 800 pages. So super similar. Shanna and Jared had been divorced for about 7 years, and they were still constantly in litigation. They had a litigation over everything. So they had to go in for where, okay, so, and this happens a lot in divorce. You will decide during the initial divorce that things should be a mutual decision between the spouses, the ex-spouses, the parents. And so you'll decide that like medical decisions should be made together and, school choices should be made together, etc. Well, then that's a real problem if it's an acrimonious divorce, because clearly you're not making decisions well together. So that happened in this case, and Shanna was able to bring so much litigation into the courtroom because she comes from a lot of money, y'all. She is the heiress to, I don't know if you were ever into crafting, but her parents were, because they started the giant MLM Stampin' Up, which at the time was freaking giant because they came up with this stamping, crafting MLM right at the time that scrapbooking like was hitting its all-time high, where you could like paper crafting, like you make your own cards and you make your own scrapbooks and memory books and frames. So her parents are the ones who started Stampin' Up. They also are very devout Mormons. Shanna went to BYU. So that's kind of reminiscent of the case with Corey Richins. So I could have put her in there too, but I really just didn't have enough room in my thumbnail. And I thought I'm not going to have enough room in the night to also add another case. But there are also lots of shades of that case as well. So, oh my gosh. So Leonard Amber says, oh my God, my mom is in that cult, the Stampin' Up one. So it is very much an MLM, which is a multi-level marketing plan, scheme, pyramid scheme, as some people may call it. Babe reminds us all not to forget, because for some reason YouTube keeps defaulting and putting you on top chat. Make sure you change to all chat so you can see who is saying what. Yes, Debbie Blair says Stampin' Up lost customers due to this. This is very true, because Stampin' Up is very conservative, moral-based business. Whenever they would go on trips or they had like retreats for Stampin' Up, there was no alcohol allowed to be anywhere upon the scene. So like they would go on a cruise for this MLM, there would be no alcohol allowed to be served on the ship, which is just very, very interesting, very strict rules. So she grew up with a crap ton of money. Her parents' names are Sterling and Shelley Gardner. And she actually, Shelley, her mom, interestingly enough, which there's so much backstory on this. I need to do like just a whole show on Shanna, because she's got some very interesting things in her past. But her mom was the babysitter for her dad and his wife. She was the nanny, and she was like 17 years old, and he had an affair with her. And then they got together and had Shanna, and then they made Stampin' Up too. So interesting to me was that other thing with the Adelsons where like Charlie's mother of his child was the nanny to Wendy's boyfriend, Dave. But anywho, I digress. Stamp It Up is, no, honey, that's not the movie about cheerleaders. I think you are confusing Bring It On, which is the movie about cheerleaders, with Stomp, which is the movie about like drum lines and not drum lines. What's it called? Somebody put it in the chat because I'm wrong. It's Step. It's about step and drum lines. Okay. So, but all right. Just checking out. Yeah, Candace adds a great point. The Stampin' Up thing, very controlled, a very controlled family. Another thing similar to the Adelsons is that there were ways that the parents were very involved in choosing mates for the children. So that we saw also with Donna and Wendy and Wendy's older brother, Robert. This also happened in the Gardner family. The Gardners had financial perks for their children for getting married. They actually like ran their children, their family, like a business. So they gave children, yes, Step Up. That's what I meant. Step Up, Stomp, Bring It On. It was like a combo of the three of them. They gave the children stipends for accomplishments. And accomplishments in the Mormon faith and in this family are you get married, you have a child. So at the time that Jared and Shanna got divorced, Shanna's monthly stipend from her parents was upwards of almost $9,000. So she was receiving a stipend just for being married, and they had twins. So very interesting. There was also, perks basically. And it was described by people that knew them that the whole family was in on the courting process of these potential mates, which just so much reminded me of Wendy and Donna just picking Dan off of J-Date and deciding that he should be the one. So, those were some of the similarities from that case. Now, I haven't even described the crime. Please know that this is, you need to be trigger warned for this because it's awful. It's all of these crimes are awful. This crime is very awful as well. Jared was returning the children, the twins. They had twins together. And then after they got divorced, Jared found and met someone that he fell deeply in love with named Kirsten. And they had 2 children together. And they had a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. So he has the 2 babies with the new wife and then the twins with the ex-wife. He's taking the twins home to their mother's house. He has his other daughter in the car. Her name's Bexley. She's 2 years old. She is in the car with her daddy as well. He drops the twins off at the ex-wife and her new husband's house. He leaves the house and he goes down a road that was 2 lanes and then it narrows. And as it narrows, he sees that there is a tire in the road and he stops to get out of the car and move this tire out of the road so it doesn't, I'm sure he's not only thinking of himself at that time. He maybe could have gone around it completely, but he was also thinking of other people. And so he's the kind of person, and the people who set him up knew that he was the kind of person to get out of the car and he was going to move that tire off to the side. And it was seconds after he got out of the car, he was murdered. He was shot down and his daughter was in her car seat. And she was alone there in her car seat until help came, which was, minutes later. but it doesn't matter how long it is. Terrible, horrible, horrible, horrible. And the little daughter is taken to the police station before her mom has to come pick her daughter up at the police station after getting this completely awful news. So one good thing that has come out of this, if you go to Justice for Jared B., his wife, Kirsten, his widow, Kirsten, runs the site, and she has what's called Bexley's Boxes. And they are to help any child that is taken into a station because their parent is the victim of a violent crime or because their parent is possibly under arrest. And their boxes for, resources for the child. And so that's just a really wonderful thing if you want to check that out. I will also link that down below for people that are watching this on rewatch. So that is that crime. Again, there was a hitman. The hitman was a tenant or a former tenant of Shanna Gardner's new husband. So he was arrested first. Then Shanna Gardner's new husband was arrested. And just like Wendy Bird, Shanna said to the police in Florida that she was going to be cooperative and she wasn't going to leave the state, but she ended up moving about 3,000 miles away to a $1 million house that her parents bought her. And so she broke that little promise. And I just thought, wow, this is just like everything, and she also will not allow the siblings and the stepmother to see the twins at all. They have not been allowed to have any visitation with them. So again, we are seeing some eerily similar things about this case. I want to move on to the actual Venn diagram and the things that I found now that we've kind of reviewed the cases. I'm going to see if there's any questions. Oh, we have a really wonderful. My babe, did you gift 5 memberships? What? That's so cool. So I guess that YouTube gives us babe already put it in here, that you can give out 10 free memberships to your channel every month. That's so cool. So there are some people who are getting a free monthly membership. I really hope you enjoy it. We have custom emojis, and we also have custom polls and posts that I will be trying to work on. Sure. We have people here, right, babes? Okay. He's going to give out the other 5. Make sure that you have gifts enabled. Bruce, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I'm making sure. Yep, Candace, we are definitely going to. Candace says children being used as pawns. Yep. Terrible, horrible. We will be speaking about that. Oh, hi, Karen. I'm glad you're here. Sarah, I'm glad you're here. Yes, we also have Gary on the channel. All right. Jane, Mean Girls 3.0. Yep, absolutely. All right. So now we're going to move on to me filling out this Venn diagram. Now, I'm going to tell you, like, if you are like a debater or a speech communication person who's real big on Venn diagrams, I was never great at these. And so I'm pretty sure that there are some overlaps that I have missed, or that you could argue effectively like, oh, that also applies to Donna and she didn't put that, or that also applies to her. So I did my best, but I've got 9 areas that we're going to go through real quickly. Well, not real quickly. Don't you hate when people say that? Like, I'm almost done here. Well, you're not almost done here. That's mostly lawyers that say that. One last point. This isn't really a last point. This is my Venn bitchogram that I have done. Here we go. All right. So, number 1, we see that this intersects with Wendy, this intersects with Shanna and Courtney. All of them like to play this little damsel in distress with the doe eyes, and the family money always ends up coming to the rescue. Wendy definitely had plenty of family money. They have spent so much money on legal defense. Shanna Gardner's family bought her $1 million house and are affording her Jose Baez to defend her. Courtney Clenney's family has a lot of money as well. Courtney was earning quite a bit of money herself, but she also comes from money, and it made it possible for her to, move out to Florida and start this new life that she was trying to do as an influencer. You would not be able to start the life that Courtney was starting without quite a bit of family money and privilege. So they love to play that like little helpless thing. I just think about Wendy saying, my parents had to drive me. They would drive me the 4 hour, whatever hours. They'd end up driving like 8 hours because they didn't want little Wendy to drive by herself. Or like even the little damsel in distress who took the shortcut because that's the only way she knew. And she even Jeff Lacoste fell for that dumb thing of like, he was like, well, she did do that where she would just, she had to go the same way and she just couldn't figure out, well, we all have GPS. And yes, sometimes we are more comfortable going the way we know, but it was more like, oh, poor Wendy, she had to go that way because she couldn't figure out any other thing to do. Number 2, very disgusting point that a lot of them intersect. Courtney doesn't intersect here because she doesn't have children, but Shanna, Wendy, and Donna sure do use other people, and they ruined numerous lives. And just like Candace said earlier, the children were used as pawns. And yeah, Debbie, isn't that interesting? Wendy, sweet little Wendy, not even communicating with family anymore, says, my lawyer says I can't talk to you. Hopefully somebody will turn on her. But these 3 women used people with impunity. It was like you decide, with these hitmen, they were throwaway people. It doesn't matter. And obviously the victims were throwaway people. It didn't matter that these children now would be without their fathers. That wasn't important to them whatsoever. But they also used numerous people and ruined numerous people to get their goal, which was to eliminate these people from their lives. And they didn't care about their children's feelings about this. They just simply needed to, the ends justify the means. The means justify, what's that saying? The ends justify the means, or the means justify the ends? The ends justify the means. Thanks, babe. But that is correct. Oh, thank you, Jen. We're glad you're here tonight. She says that we are both amazing. Thank you. So, used numerous people. This tenant that is in the Shanna Gardner case, I mean, you look at this man's mugshot and you see he's like in his 60s, and you realize that this man was definitely used. And, it's very sad that what happened with the hitmen and with Katie Magbanua. They of course they had a choice, and of course they chose to participate in these things. But Donna, Wendy, and Shanna viewed these people as not deserving of the same type of happiness that Donna, Wendy, and Shanna are, entitled to. They did not view them as people that were owed that type of thing. So number 3, boy, oh boy, if you want to hear some rage communications, the intersect is with Donna Adelson and her crazy emails about Nazi youth uniforms and, calling Dan every name in the book, and Courtney Clenney's text messages and her surreptitious recordings on the phone. So Christian Abumseli had been abused by Courtney before. He had actually been stabbed by Courtney before. And so he started taking some surreptitious recordings of her. Also because Courtney knew that in an argument, she was always going to look like the victim, and he was always going to look like the aggressor. She was tiny. She was teeny tiny little thing, or she is a teeny tiny little thing. And Christian, very well built, played football in college, very strong. I believe at least 6 feet tall. And she was very aware that as a white woman, a little tiny white woman, and saying that a black man is coming after her, how that would look. And he was very well aware of that. And he mentions it in interrogations with the police when they had prior domestic events. He says, I just try to not do anything. I try to just let it all happen to me because I know what it looks like. I know that the police are going to see me as the aggressor. And Courtney's communications with Christian are full of rage, and Donna's communications about Dan are just as vile as you can get. I mean, you do not think that telling someone to, put her grandchildren in Hitler youth uniform, Nazi youth uniforms, as a Jewish woman, as any woman at all, can you imagine just being like, oh, this will be fun. Let's dress them up as Nazis in order to really harm him. They both, Donna and Courtney, both were very interested in wounding with their words. Okay. Also, another thing with Donna and Courtney was the seeking of control. Donna wants to control the narrative with Dan. She wants to, Wendy, you need to do this. Wendy, you need to do that. Charlie, you need to do this. Charlie, you need to do that. Courtney is the same way with Christian. Their very last argument that they had was because they had broken up. They had gotten back together. And Christian went to go get her a sandwich that day that she murders him, that she says was self-defense. Which, you guys, if you haven't seen this police interrogation, you've got to go back. I'm going to link our other video about this case, our Friday Night Psych about this case, because this story is wild. This story that she tells, and she ends up going home that night. She says she throws the knife. She shows how she throws the knife. And she says that the knife gets stuck in him. And the knife is deep. I mean, from the coroner's report, they were nobody threw this knife at him. There was no ninja in the room. That he was stabbed, and he was stabbed here between his arm and his chest. And so that day, she's really seeking control with him because they get back together, and he goes to get her a sandwich, and she is trying to look at his location on the phone while he's going to get her the dang sandwich. And he gets her exactly what she wants, she says. And she can't see his location. And she is in a flippin' blind rage because she thinks that he's, obviously if she can't see his location, even though he's been gone for 25 minutes to the subway to get her freaking favorite sandwich, he must be talking to other women. And so she is just livid with him that he has turned off the location finding. She is not allowed to see where he is at all points in time. And that is what starts the argument that ends up being a fatal stabbing for Christian, because she cannot control. And he probably would have turned it back on. But this is what happens on that day, is that she is trying to control every last thing he does and says, and where he is and who he can talk to. So that was number 3. Number 4, you can see we are looking over here by Wendy Liar. and Shannon Gardner. And this is just a disgusting, disgusting thing that Candace mentioned earlier. She said, they use the children as pawns, and they wielded the threat of decreased custody, which is a very difficult thing for fathers in America. Women have their own struggles when it comes to divorce and with custody, but men, and this is also because of the same reason, it's all because of patriarchy. Men are assumed to be the lesser parent because women should be, barefoot and pregnant and only home taking care of children all the time. So they're assumed that they can't take care of the child. And so laws were put into place that, really favor the mom in child custody. And both of these dads knew that and were well aware and were in years of fighting with their ex because they wanted to be involved dads. That is so freaking sad. Like, these two men spent tons of money, tons of time going to court so that they could be with their children. We have such a problem in our country and beyond in the world of parents that don't want to be involved with their child, that have children and then, are like, meh, no, I don't want to see them. I don't want to be involved with them. And here we have these two dads who spend money and time in order to be able to see their children. I mean, it's just upsetting. Yep, exactly what Elizabeth says. Thousands of kids around the country and world pray for dads who care enough that they would fight for them like this, like these two dads did. So, these two women were very well aware of the maternal privilege that they had. And they were very well aware that they both had the money to continue to litigate this into the ground. They both had the resources, and they both knew that automatically when they go into the courtroom, they're the mom. And people around are going to look like there's the mom. Basically, the mom has to do something to lose the custody. They don't have to prove that they should get it. Oh, thank you, Gretchen. She says, Jay says what we all want to, which is, he speaks his mind. That's why people love him. And I love him because he's hilarious. So when he speaks his mind, he's also super funny. Jay says what we all want to. Shannon has the credentials to help us understand these. She uses this term, colloquialism, nut jobs. All right. So these women well aware of the power and privilege they hold when they walk into a courtroom, and also had plenty of money to back them up. Like, you may want to take somebody to court, but you can't afford it. I mean, that is just the way of our legal system. If you cannot afford a lawyer, and most people can't just afford a lawyer to be, helping them at $300 to $700 an hour all the time, and a retainer of like, oh, this is going to go to trial, so you've already got to just set down, $5,000 to $10,000. Not a lot of people have the privilege to be able to do that. But both of these women, they knew they could litigate this into the ground, and it wasn't going to do anything to them. No skin off their teeth. So now we get to number 5, and we've got our mother-daughter duo. Number 5 loves a pity party. Donna and Wendy, they love a pity party. God, they can just tell you how they have been victimized over and over and over. Wendy wants you to know that Dan was emotionally abusive to her. Wendy needs you to know that this has been, Nancy Grace is victimizing her by putting her children on the TV. She wants you to know that Ruth Markel has victimized her because she is trying to put the children in foster care until she gets a plane and comes down to get them. She's trying to take her children away from her. And Wendy needs you to know that she couldn't even get a job because Dan was telling people that she was insane, that she was crazy. Why would he say that? She couldn't get a job. She's stuck in Tallahassee because he can just move whenever he wants to. And he might go and be with his new girlfriend, who she's 50, but she looks good. But let me tell you, she's 50. And Donna, oh, Donna needs you all to know that this is all happening to Donna. If you listen to these new calls, I just made a short on this, but Donna has the audacity to say that her family, she has one son who won't speak to her. She says, she does take the onus of this. She says, I have one son I don't speak to. I have one son who is, she says, close to death. She's talking about Charlie because he's very upset right before she's talking to him. And she says this. And then she says, and I have this daughter who I love and who is doing this to me. She's cutting me off completely. And I don't know what to do. I told Harvey that I think our family is cursed. She has no idea what the common denominator could be to all these things going wrong in her life. No clue, no self-awareness. It must be a curse. She's also, it's rumored that she has told people, I heard this on Fancy's channel at some point in time, she has told people that she thinks that Dan haunts her. So I hope he does. But to believe that, again, that's her way of putting the blame on Dan, of putting the blame, somewhere else, because poor Donna, this has all happened to her. Poor Wendy. So that was number 5. Number 6. Oh, this is a cross section of our friends. Wendy, my eyes are so blue. They asked me for my ID, doe eyes, lip filler, definitely having the Botox, Wendy. Donna, who was very, very concerned with her looks, also has had some work done, very concerned with how she presents, very concerned with her weight. Wendy says in her podcast that Donna was once kicked out of Weight Watchers because she tried to join Weight Watchers when she had no weight to lose. So she has some difficulty with some body dysmorphia, clearly. Yes, Candace, I love it. Yes, she wants to say, she's always talking about in the interrogation how blue her eyes are. And she even gets them the character's eyes are enhanced blue on her book. Not a coincidence in my opinion. But yes, they are contact lenses. They are blue contact lenses because nothing about this bitch is real. So Candace is on it tonight. I agree, Elizabeth. Oh, yes. Pharaoh Gamma. You are so right. She's always tilting her head. She keeps her eyes so open and she never closes her mouth. It's always slightly parted. And she'll kind of make her voice a little bit breathy. And she definitely knows what she is doing with all of that. And is definitely to convey just innocence and sweetness. And it seriously can makes you want to vomit when you watch her for too long. You can't watch her for too long. And Miss Courtney, if you've not seen this interrogation, after you've seen Wendy's interrogation, you've got to watch Courtney's interrogation. First of all, Miss Courtney has on a bra, sweatpants, and a kimono robe. And Courtney is gorgeous. I mean, just totally gorgeous. However, she is covered. It is horribly disturbing. She is covered in blood. Her sweatpants, earlier in the day, she's doing an Instagram live. Her sweatpants are white. I for sure thought these sweatpants were pink and they had blood all over them, but they were white. They were pure white, and they are pink and red everywhere from this poor man's blood. She has it on her. She has his blood on her hands. She has it, on her chest. But she is in this interrogation room with these two very green cops. They do not seem to have interrogated many people before. And they are in the presence of a gorgeous woman who is, half naked. I mean, at least top wise. Her boobs are coming out. And she knows, like, she is working the room. And I have said this on our show that we did before about Courtney, and I will continue to say it. If I was in an interrogation and I was suspected of murder, I too would be using all the assets at my disposal. So, she's like letting the kimono fall open at times. And she's definitely like we know, ladies, she's like doing the arm cross thing where you kind of like push them up a little bit. You're like, don't let them sag. So she's doing that. And she is, she's using everything at her disposal. She is using, again, kind of like Wendy, she's doing the like, she's so, can I have a hug? She asked for a hug at one point in time. I shit you not. You've got to see this interrogation if you haven't, because it's got everything. It's got, intrigue, mystery. She talks about Game of Thrones at one point in time. So one thing you might not have known about Donna, and Fancy said this on our show when she was on with us. Another great show that we had. We had Katie Cool Lady and Fancy Fiction on with us. And one thing that she told us about Donna is that Donna was voted best legs. So, I'm thinking that the three of these ladies, and I just don't know enough about Shannon yet to have included her in that. I didn't really see that with her. And that's most likely because she was Mormon. I mean, the woman had to have sleeves on her, on her wedding gown. They can't have like strapless wedding gowns. So I think that the other three women really fit in more with using their femininity and their looks to their advantage, and that they wanted praise and they wanted attention for these things. Number 7. We have 73 likes, which is so nice. Thank you, everybody. Jay says she has the best legs and the worst brain. And that could be very true. She's really kooky. Ooh, Tayo Toys for the win says good legs, bad eggs. Oof. I mean, besides Robert, he seems to be maybe a good egg, but wow. Anywho, number 7. Number 7 is a little of a cross between Miss Courtney and Miss Shanna. And that is that they are surrounded by drama and they fear rejection. So I am pretty sure I can say that Wendy is in with the fear of rejection as well, because from her podcast, she talks about how like she didn't really love Dan. He was just like a safe choice for her, which is a lot of times what people with an attachment disorder, like an anxious attachment or some type of attachment disorder where they are a little ambivalent or anxious, they will choose somebody that they are less in love with so that they can be in control of the relationship and they don't feel like they will get rejected. And Courtney definitely was afraid of rejection. She did not want Christian to be talking to other women. They were constantly like breaking up, getting back together, having all this drama around them with that, triangulated with different people. And there were, he thought she was talking to other men. She thought he was talking to other women. With Shanna, there was infidelity. And interestingly enough, I found this today in the Patreon of Hidden True Crime, which again will be in the link. Shanna had her very first date with Jared she described as the worst date she's ever gone on. And this was because Jared like basically was not into her. He rejected her from the very beginning. And so she began like love bombing the crap out of him and flaunting all of her wealth, like coming to pick him up in a Porsche and taking him to all these expensive dinners. And he's like a college student, and he does not come from the type of wealth that this woman comes from. And so she basically love bombs the crap out of him until he's, interested in her. And then, she's able to file for divorce and reject him. So they are surrounded by all this drama of other parties being involved in their relationships and the fear of rejection. Number 8. Let me see. Gretchen's question. Would I put, she definitely, so Gretchen's question is, would you put Donna in number 7 too? I wonder if her fear of Wendy's rejection will get her to flip. I do think that Wendy's rejection right now is super painful to Donna because she's being discarded. Wendy is, and it's exactly what Donna does to people. Like she uses them and discards them. And that's what Wendy is doing to her. But Donna never thought that would happen to her. I don't see Donna flipping on either of her children. I can see Charlie, I feel, is the weakest link and would be the one that would flip on Wendy after some time, maybe he realizes like Wendy doesn't give a crap about him. She's also discarded their mother, and, she's making it difficult for their mother, and that she's out living her life, and all of this benefited her. It didn't benefit anybody else in their family. But I do think that Donna definitely has some fear of rejection. Obviously, she in the video that I just made, she is talking about, she's so upset that Wendy is discarding them. Like they were good enough to be babysitters for her for all this time, but now that she doesn't need a nanny anymore, she doesn't need them, and it's very hurtful. So yeah, she could be in there too. Number 8, we're moving to that. It's a lack of self-restraint. Now I put this for all 3 of our ladies here on the left. Donna, Courtney, and Shannon seem to have a lack of restraint going for them. They are unable to keep their mouths shut. Donna has no restraint. I mean, the hearing is wild to watch her emergency hearing about how she's being so mistreated in the jail because jail's so uncomfortable. But she is like, she can't even control her face. She cannot even control her face at all. So she is, making faces. She's saying, oh my God. She's mouthing things after the judge tells her to shut up. Then she's mouthing things. She's trying to like make eye contact and stare down the witnesses. The man from the jail, Chief Mac, she's trying to stare him down. It is wild how little restraint she is able to have in a place where you are expected to have an amount of decorum that we all are aware of. And I've seen defendants of far less, social graces than Donna should supposedly have control themselves much better in court than Donna does. She cannot do it. Yes, she mouthed Jesus Christ. Correct, Tiffany. Tiffany just says she mouthed it. She's mouthing, oh my God. She's never. She kept saying that. She loved to mouth never. So Courtney also just a lack of self-restraint is going on during her interrogation and during her fights with Christian. She uses racial slurs against him in these fights that he records that you can now go listen to. And Shanna is just unable to stop with the just jabs in these filings, in these legal filings. Like they have to go to court to choose the school for their children. They have to literally go to court to choose this. It is ridiculous. And throughout all the filings, it's like, she's saying there's all these jabs and she has no restraint when it comes to even inside the filings saying things that are just meant to give a little bit of superiority to herself. In that way, I guess, Wendy had a little lack of restraint in the filings, maybe you could say. But other than that, Wendy really is very able to be controlled. Her locus of control is she's able to do it. She is able to perform on the stand. She can't control her micro expressions and everything like that. But honestly, when you're just looking at her, she is able to be pretty convincing, and she's able to not be mouthing things and not be, making these wild things that goes on. Now, we have only seen little bits of Wendy being pushed before because, it hasn't been Wendy's trial. So I don't know. We don't know what's in store for if Wendy ever would take the stand in her own defense. I don't know. I don't know if she would. But lack of self-restraint, I'm putting definitely more on the three of them, and I'm leaving Wendy off. Maybe that's what her Ivy League education afforded her, was the ability to mask a little bit better. Number 9, here it is. Here it is. Number 9, winner, winner. This is every single one of them. It is the very middle of the Venn diagram, the very middle of the cinnamon roll. They've all got it. And it is the inability to take accountability for just literally anything. Nothing. We can't take accountability for even the smallest thing. Every single time there is a question put to them, it is like pulling teeth to even get an answer on the smallest things. Like, are you wealthy? No. Are you anything? They cannot take accountability for anything. Everything was, Courtney was being held against her will. She thought maybe she was losing her breath in this fight. She thought maybe she was going to die. She thought that, Christian was going to kill her, and that's why she had to stab him. There's literally no accountability for the fact that she started an argument with him. There's no accountability for Donna whatsoever. We know how she feels. She feels that everything's Dan's fault. If Dan would have just let Wendy move in the first place, then I guess he'd be alive and none of this would have happened. And she just thinks that this was, fine, that it happened. It was all his fault. And for Wendy, God, everything is everyone else's fault. Even it's her mother's fault. It's Charlie's fault. It's the Hitman's fault. It's Ruth Markel's fault. It's Dan's fault. It is, it's her own children's fault. They broke the TV. That's why the TV came up. She will literally put the blame on her own children for, like she threw something at that TV. She did it. And that she would even throw her own child under the bus. Sickening. So there is definitely an inability to take accountability, especially we see that with Wendy and Shanna are totally unable to just accept the terms of a divorce. You know what? In a divorce, you have to give up some stuff. You can't have everything. Like, that's the point. Like, you stay together, you get all the holidays and you're miserable, right? Because you're together and you don't like each other anymore. So the compromise for not having to live with this person anymore when you have a child is that you give up. Neither one of you should be happy with the divorce agreement. Neither one of you should be like, oh yeah, I won. Nobody wins. It's supposed to be like you give up stuff because you want your peace. You want that. You want to show your children that you don't live in a house where people fight all the time. But neither of these two women were able to just accept the terms of a divorce. They were not able to accept that their children had another parent and that parent was going to be in their lives. So they could not take any accountability for the fact that they chose these men, they married these men, they had children with these men. No, we're just going to erase them off the face of the planet instead of just swallowing our pride and saying, but I guess I'm going to have to live here until, something changes. So, 8 and 9. Yes, I agree. 8 and 9, Leonard Amber says 8 and 9 are truly the main drivers that allow 1 through 7 to run rampant. It is so true. 8 and 9 definitely, it's like, how did you get to murder? How'd you get to murder? Well, it's because these things are not in check. They are all just out there unchecked, all of these things. Yep. They view people as disposable. All right. I'm seeing if anybody else had questions. Ms. Wildside. I mean, I know that Donna is going to be warned multiple times to stop. And there have been other defendants who have been like that in the past as well, but definitely, yeah. Brooklyn, that was one that definitely rang true. A lot of people actually from Shanna Gardner's life also, they describe her as a compulsive liar. So, and I mean, I think we've seen Wendy on the stand lately on Jay's channel, and we all have seen the way that she omits, the way that she twists things, the way that she just out and right lies. Some things are really crazy that she lies about. It's like, why did you didn't need to lie about that? Like Fancy talking about the friends telling her that she didn't breastfeed the younger one because there was an issue with that. Like, why? That's such a weird lie. That is a compulsive liar because it's like you're lying all the time about things that are of little consequence because you wanted to get a little bit more, like snaps from the jury. Oh, you breastfed both the children. Good job. That's what a good mommy does. So, all right. I'm looking at comments. Maria says, I do see the mother turning on Wendy. You have to remember NPD, which she means narcissistic personality people, disordered people always put their needs and wants first. Wendy doesn't need her family anymore. They got rid of Dan. The boys can watch themselves. I agree with that. I just think, I don't know. I don't know if I see Donna giving up the ghost, because sometimes with a person with NPD, if you are real obsessed with your supply coming from somebody, you will not give that up easily. She may wait and wait and wait for Wendy to come back to her. She may, reach out multiple times trying to get that supply back, because it seems to me that Wendy is the golden goose for her. She is like the extension of herself. the more beautiful, the more smart little extension of herself. So she sees herself in Wendy. So I'm not sure if she will reject Wendy, and that's the only reason why. Because Wendy is like top supply to her. I don't know if she's going to get mad enough. But, these people they're unpredictable AF. So I can't say for sure. That's just my feeling. And I've known some people that have NPD as well. And if they get fixated on somebody, they may do things to harm them, but they may never fully cut the cord with them because they're still hoping for the supply to return. All right. I'm seeing if anybody else has any questions. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. So nice. Be here on a Saturday night with me. I'm having water tonight because I got a little wild at Feral Friday last night. I had a few drinks. Jay and I had a few drinks and we almost made it to the end of Feral Friday. If you don't know what Feral Friday is, that's because you probably don't know about our channel's friends, Publicly Buzzed. And you need to know about them because they have a show in the morning as well. And that show in the morning is called Murder Church. And Murder Church is currently focusing on the first trial of Dr. Jack Kevorkian. And our other friend, Defense Diaries, aka Bob Mata, will be on Murder Church in the morning with Pastor Steve. So, you've got to come on over to Murder Church in the morning because he will be having a special guest. Plus, the chat is always great. So maybe I will be able to, be fully recovered for Murder Church. Maybe I'll have a Bloody Mary or something. But definitely, after not getting much sleep and having a couple glasses of wine last night, I am having water tonight. Ivamos, thank you. Thank you for being here. So, what time? I have real church. Real church early. Okay, babe, it's 9. Is that right? 9 a.m. Eastern. So, the portal's set up for it. It's going to take you there so you can like it right when we get there, get it into the algorithm. And also, if you'd like to make bets on whether or not Bob will be awake for for Murder Church in the morning, or if Steve will have to delay it because Bob is not there. I think Bob will be there. I think he will have really tired eyes, and I think he will be wearing a beanie hat, which will be because he just got out of bed and he's not even going to comb his hair. He's just going to pull his beanie on. I think that is what will happen. Candace, you ask a great question. Do I need to go to confession before going to Murder Church? No. Murder Church is awesome. So the greatest things about Murder Church are show up in your pajamas. No one's there to judge you for that. Nobody's like, oh my goodness, she has a run in her pantyhose again this week. Or that skirt is way too short for church. What are you thinking? Number 2, you can eat during church. This was always a thing. I would be starving by the end of church. You can totally eat during this church. Plus, during regular church, you only get 1 sip of wine. You can drink whatever you would like during Murder Church. Also, you can get up at any time to go to the bathroom. Nobody's policing you. You don't have to sit on an uncomfortable pew. You don't have to get down on a kneeler. The Catholics that do that, I don't know how people do that past the age of 24. How are you doing that? That seems very just not a good idea to keep doing. There's no special dietary concerns you have to worry about. You can literally snack on anything. So that is the thing. Come tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay. I am making sure. Yeah, definitely Bob's going to be there tomorrow. He would definitely tell you don't confess anything. you need to, as Bob would say, number one, shut the fuck up. That is what you must do. Mrs. Krampus says, nice win, Jayhawks. Thank you. Actually, it was a very ugly win. It was terrible. The Jayhawks played terrible. They actually deserved to lose today. They didn't, but they deserved to. They did not play good. But that's okay. You got to play bad. You don't have to wear your church clothes. That's right, Phil. All right. Somebody had a question. I saw it. Oh, okay. MJ. I wonder if everybody here knows what NPD is and about the supply they need. So NPD is narcissistic personality disorder. It's pretty popular thing that people talk about these days. It is a cluster B personality disorder. And what that means is that it's in a grouping of other personality disorders like histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. These are all kind of akin. They all kind of are like their own little Venn diagram type of a thing. But you can look up cluster B personality disorders. You will learn quite a bit if you want to search that. Narcissistic personality disorder is where somebody is a narcissist to the point where it's a personality disorder, basically. And I think a lot of us are more familiar with narcissism nowadays than we used to be. It's kind of the du jour disorder that people are actually talking about, and they're identifying. It didn't used to be something that was widely talked about. And so now people are talking about it, and they're talking about how to recover from it. Brooklyn makes a good point here. She says they don't suffer with it. It's the rest of us that suffer with it. That's somewhat true because a narcissistic personality disorder is typically marked by a lack of self-awareness. They don't know that they are doing it. Supply, what MJ's referring to with supply is that a person with a narcissistic personality disorder, they basically get energy. It's almost like a vampire. The blood that they need to survive and to keep feeding their disorder so that they feel on an even keel is the attention and the praise and the just constant worry and care and compassion of another human. And so that is known as their supply. And yes, Shay says, as a survivor of a narcissistic parent, there is lots of healing required. It is absolutely right. It is just like we talk about with the title. It's Insidious. It seeps in when you have had a relationship or you have been in a situation with a narcissistic person. It is very hard to even realize all the effects that it has on you for a long time, and it takes a lot of healing to and it's very difficult because you also realize that person is probably never going to realize how they've hurt you because, again, they don't have that self-awareness. They are not able to, and they don't see their behavior as a problem. So they're really not looking for ways that, like all of us who are self-aware, we're looking for ways to better ourselves. When we hurt someone, are looking for ways to fix problems. We're looking for, I'm going to get into therapy, or I'm going to do this self-help book, or I'm going to do these. This is not something that somebody with NPD generally does. They don't think it's a problem. So they're not searching that out. All right. Oh, Jersey Jen says, hey all, we are doing a food drive. Can you help? Yes, absolutely. We are doing a food drive for Long Island Cares. And it is so cool because we have a website set up for it. where, well, we didn't set the website up, but they set up a website and they actually show what your money is going towards. Like it will tell you what foods you are giving towards people. And it is awesome to do this at this time of year. Nobody should be food insecure at any point in time, but it's especially upsetting around the holidays to think of people being food insecure. Jay has put the link in the chat. We are having an all-day stream on the 23rd of December. We are having amazing out of the park, hitting it out of the park with guests on that day, Jay and I, and we will be, in and out, and Jay will be here all day. I'll be in and out because I have to run Sloan around to some rehearsal things, but we would love for you to help out with our food drive. And we would love for you to join us. We are having an event called Justivus, which is like Festivus, but for us, like court jesters, Justivus. Anywho, instead of feats of strength, we are doing feats of giving. So please join us. We will be watching Christmas and Hanukkah and holiday type episodes of shows. And that will be all over on our Kick channel because YouTube does not like things that are copyrighted. Brooklyn puts up a great quote, a lyric from one of my very favorite songs from the Counting Crows. It's a long December, and there's reason to believe maybe this year will be better than the last. I fall into that every December. I play it 11 times every December. Okay. Don't even like the name of the event? Oh no, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I don't even like the show the name of the event is taken from. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I forgot about that. I heard that. So one of the epic throwdowns that will be happening during the Justivus stream, please come. It will be a foursome to never forget. It will be Publicly Buzzed, who is made up of Publicly Buzzed Steve and Publicly Buzzed Dan, or as he's known in the chat, Ricky Cougarback. They are brothers. They will be teaming up against Jay, my husband, and Chris Duet. And this fabulous foursome will be taking on the topic of, is Christmas Vacation a good movie? Two of them say yes. Two of them say no. And also, there's a little bit of dissension between the team over here, Jay and Chris, because Jay loves Seinfeld, and that's where the Festivus idea came from. And apparently, Chris thinks that Seinfeld's trash. So you got to tune in because that part for sure is going to be worth it. You never know what can happen on a Kick stream. So please come for that. The portal is going to send you to Murder Church. Please go in the morning. It will be a great time. We have wonderful talks in there. We talk about all sorts of things. It's a wonderful chat, and this trial is really worth watching. It brings up so many interesting questions, and that's the Jack Kevorkian trial. Defense Diaries will be there. So join with us in the morning. Stevie Irwin, one of our mods, is putting that in the chat for us where we can find that channel and join and subscribe. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm sorry that I was a little bit rambly there at the end, but I am so glad you were here. Thank you, mods, for being here and for helping out. Thanks, babe, for helping out in the chat. All right. I will see you around. I will have a couple more. I have a fashion short to put up for this week in court, Fashion Justice, and I have another couple of calls that I want to do some snippets from. So stay tuned. All right. Thank you so very much for being here. Have a lovely evening. Bye, everybody.